Just to start off giving Drake some credit here. If someone hauls off and calls you a kid diddler in the biggest song of the year, you gotta say something back to address it. The problem is, the responses he gave couldn't have made him sound any more guilty.
Only fucking with Whitney's, not Millie Bobby Brown's. I'd never look twice at no teenager.
Oh no, dude, don't specifically bring up the girl whom there's video proof of what seems like her accidentally confessing to the awkwardly intimate relationship you guys have.
What advice does he give you? Like, what does he say?
About boys. He helps me.
What?
Yeah. He's great. He's wonderful. I love him.
What's his advice with boys?
That stays in the text messages.
And the real issue is, he brings up the accusation at least 2 more times.
If I was fucking young girls, I promise I'd have been arrested. I'm way too famous for the shit you just suggested.
Each time less convincing than the last.
This Epstein angle was the shit I expected. TikTok videos you collected and dissected.
Yeah, how the hell are you gonna say you're too famous to get caught up in a child trafficking ring, then mention Epstein, the guy whose whole thing was serving children to celebrities that were rich enough to be above the law? And what especially annoys me here is that each denial of the accusations sounds so disconnected from the other, it definitely gives me vibes that he got at least 3 ghostwriters on call to pitch responses to Kendrick's allegations, and none of the lines they pitched were strong enough on their own, so he just used all of them.
Drake is not a name that you gon' see on no sex offender list. Easy does it. You mention an A minor, but niggas gotta be sharp.
Oh my god, dude, stop! This is one of the key reasons this response was taken so poorly. Not just that he denied it, but that the rhetoric he used was so weak to do so, it came off as someone who didn't actually have a leg to stand on. As I've said before, rap battles are about controlling perception. So for him to have felt the need to address one accusation 3 times, and for none of that to have felt convincing, yeah, that losing strategy is what made him look like the guy who's clearly been backed into a corner. And while oftentimes opinion spins a certain way because of the effect of the public getting caught up in the emotional sway that leads them one way or the other, the fact remains, sometimes the mainstream opinion was reached because of a genuine base level comprehension of the facts of what the fuck just happened. Because yes, Kendrick had a scorching back-to-back response with Meet the Grams and Not Like Us, but I genuinely believe that's not what ultimately decided the battle. Nah, it was Drake's failure to make an adequate response that put the nail in the coffin. Because if Drake had taken this shit seriously and actually schemed to make a calculated killer response, we'd be having a more measured conversation about who won. But no, because in addition to the awful lines I previously mentioned of him trying to skirt around the pedo accusations, this was his gambit to try to flip the conversation to his advantage.
My mom came over today and I was like, mother, wait a second. That's that one record where you say you got molested.
That was single-handedly the most contrived way to try and force a segue into a topic I've ever heard in my life. Because for those who don't know, the song he's referencing is Kendrick Lamar's Mother I Sober, in which Kendrick discusses sexual abuse that's gone on in his family. But it's like, you really expect me to believe you were at your crib like, oh man, so I was in the middle of writing my response to Kendrick, but then my mother came over and I started talking to her and I said, hey mother, Mother I? As in Mother I Sober? It's the missing link to the whole equation! Like, first off, what kind of Black Dynamite abstract word association shit is this?
What's the theme from the Pink Panther? Now rewind that and slow it down. And when it ain't dead, he lives in a colony, and another word for colony is a clan, which is short for Ku Klux Klan.
Second, who the fuck refers to their mom as mother when they're talking to them? What are you, a 5-year-old British child? Mother, the boys at school are making fun of me. And third, the point he's awkwardly trying to pivot to is the idea that in the Mother I Sober song, since it's a song that deals with sexual assault, that was Drake's excuse to try and go, oh, so that's the real reason you're so concerned with rape, because you were molested yourself, so you're just traumatized and lashing out. Making fun of a sexual assault survivor makes you look like a good guy.
That's that one record where you say you got molested.
Problem is, he doesn't say that he was molested on that song. He says it happened to other family members. So to fuck up a detail that obvious just shows on his face how desperate you were to try to make a connection that would give you any excuse to bow out of the battle.
This about to get so depressing. This is trauma from your own confessions. That's why these pedophile raps and shit you so obsessed with. It's so excessive. They acting like it's so aggressive. But you just never known affection. I don't want to dish you anymore. This really got me second guessing.
Like, oh yeah, the reason you wanted to bow out is you just didn't want to trigger his PTSD anymore. And totally has nothing to do with him absolutely wiping the floor with your reputation.
Sure, Jan.
And this is why his response failed. You can't have missteps like this, and you're going to pay for it when you do. Especially if you're going to use that cheap volley as the way to step back from the battle and act like you're saving face. No one bought that shit for a second. That's what made the diss track so pitiful. And you know it landed badly because it was so poorly received, Kendrick didn't even feel the need to make another response to it afterwards. It was so clear that he dropped the ball, what else was there even to say?
I give a fuck about your streaming data. You could drop 100 more records, I'll see you later.
Oh yeah, like Drake wasn't the one who started this whole back-to-back drops by releasing 2 songs in a row first. This is what really makes it look like a backpedaling record. The way he deliberately feels like he's backing away from the type of tactics he himself was just using. Also, kinda ironic to hear him say he doesn't give a fuck about streaming data now that he's specifically suing UMG over claims of inflating Kendrick's sales. Yeah, you care about sales so little that you got your fucking lawyers involved. And here's my thing, it's not like Drake didn't get some shots off at Kendrick. But unfortunately, most people scrutinizing a diss track are gonna be thinking about how the song hits them as a whole. And with lines like this as part of your ammo, yeah, you bet the public's gonna feel like your shit just backfired. Or more accurately, like your weapons just fucking fell apart mid-firing. But hell, it didn't have to end this way. If Drake had skipped the long lyrical screed and instead tried to actually make a pop hit out of it, where there's a couple digs at Kendrick, but then he had a big, fun, stupid hook to compete with his, maybe he could have pulled it out, or at least engineered enough of a stalemate to argue that he stood his ground. But nah, he fucking crashed out hard, and the whole world saw it in real time, and that shit was a goddamn shame.